Okay, so I just finished recording, and it's pretty late at night, so I apologize if my voice is kind of like lispy or hard to understand. Um, if you don't know what I'm saying, like in the video anywhere, please just like leave a comment and let me know. I'll try and just I'll tell you what I'm saying there. Again, I apologize. I'm just tired, man. All right. Uh, enjoy.
Hello there. Making a quick little Saber tutorial really quickly. It's not gonna be the greatest quality. I just need to. Felt like I should make something because the tutorial we have right now is very outdated and kind of hard to follow. No disrespect to the guy who did make those tutorials. They're very great. They're just with all the fake glow and stuff, it's kind of difficult to figure out. So I'm just not gonna put too much effort into this. I'm just gonna give a basic rundown on like what to do and how to do it. So when making sabers, there's two things you need to understand. There is bloom and there's fake glow. And I would give an example of what the two look like, but just think of it like this. Fake glow is like an image, and it makes it look like something is glowing. So like if you had a cylinder and it was blue, you'd have this image on it that would make it look like it's glowing, but it's not. And then there's bloom glow, which is what most Saber creators use. It looks the best, and it's basically actual glow. The object itself is actually emitting light. So the way you're going to view this inside of Unity is you're going to go into the Beat Saber modding group and find PC 3D modeling. In there, go to pinned messages and scroll down until you find what is called right here. No, not right here. Where is it? There it is. This message right here, it'll be called in-game shaders. You're going to download this, and you'll have this file. From there, you're going to take it and drag and drop it into your Unity project, just like this. I already have the package in my project, so it's not going to import, but you'll see a list of things. You just make sure everything's checked and click OK. From there, you'll have a new thing. It'll be called, in-game shaders or whatever. Don't drag and drop anything into your scene just yet. But instead, what you're going to do is click on the cosmetics camera and click add component and then add bloom effect. You'll have to search it up first. You're going to add that. After that, you'll notice that your thing might look like this. To fix that, just simply click right here where under the scene there'll be a little drop down. You can click right there and turn off the skybox. Now you have access to seeing bloom in the scene. Now when it comes to saber making, the first thing to making a successful and good looking saber is to actually make a decent looking model, and that may take a bit of practice. Highly recommend using the program Blender. It's free, it's easy to use, and it lets you make models. I'm not going to teach you how to make a model. You'd have to look at tutorials on your own. But once you do know how to make models, you can import them into Blender by same thing with this, drag and drop it into the scene, or into the project. I have all of my things organized, and what I do is I create a new folder. This is in the wrong place. I create a new folder. I don't know why it's going to the wrong thing. Come on. There we go. I just call it whatever. Let's just call it tutorial for now. So what you're going to do is you're going to drag and drop your model that you made into here, and it'll show up. I don't have a model made for this. I'm just making this really quickly. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to add just a basic shape. Now, when making a saber, usually you'll have one already there, but if you don't, you can click on Tools up here, Cosmetics, Exporters, Quest Saber, and add a new Saber template to get a new Saber template. My shaders have broken over time. I've had this project for about a year and a half now, maybe. So for me it looks broken, but it'll look different for you. It'll be better shaded. Let's get rid of this. So this right here is your Saber template. This is the Saber object. This is what holds both the left saber and the right saber. You can move it around, specifically this part. You can move it around, you can place it anywhere you want. So you can have multiple different sabers and you can show them off everywhere. It doesn't matter where this is, as long as left saber and right saber are parented under it. Under left saber and right saber, you will have the two template models. Now, when it comes to left saber and right saber, you can also move these around wherever you want, but only the new saber template, the left saber, and the right saber. Everything under it should be at exactly the 0-0 origin of the left saber and right saber.
Hi, Future Wolfie again. I forgot to mention, you need to have the saber that you make, the model that you're making, be at the exact same location and also be the exact same size as the template. So don't resize the template, just make it the same size as the template as it is. Just remember that, okay? I'm sorry, I forgot to put this in, I'm sorry.
But otherwise, these can be moved anywhere you want to, as long as these are in the exact center. Now, to get started making sabers, you're going to need to pick a material. Material can be made by down here in the project, right-clicking, clicking Create, and clicking on Material. You can name that material pretty much anything you want. I tried to spell tutorial, I messed up. Now this shader right here doesn't look too great. It also doesn't work. The Cosmetics Unity project comes with a few shaders pre-installed. Again, mine is really old, so it's kind of broken, but you will have a couple of shaders here for you to use. Specifically, Lit Glow, Unlit Glow, and Metallic, and maybe a couple others. The Lit Glow right here, if we select that, you'll have something like this. The Lit Glow kind of looks like it's got a shadow almost. So if you were to rotate it, kind of just maintains that shadow. The Unlit Glow, where is it? Oh, I'm dumb. The Unlit Glow looks more like just a flat color. To change the color of your materials, and by the way, I should mention, the way you put a material on an object is by dragging and dropping it onto here. That's how you put a material on. You also select your shader by clicking up here, clicking on this, and then clicking on Beat Saber. If you download shaders made by other people in the community, they'll show up usually under their name, if that's what they set it to, or it might be set under Shader Forge, if that's what they made it, or maybe nothing at all. To change the color of a shader, or in this case, I guess a material, you can select this, the color thingamajig. You can change the colors from here. These are the tiling for a texture, if you wanted to use a texture. It's completely optional. I won't go over how it works, but yeah, I guess you just need some more Blender knowledge for textures. The way glow works is by turning the slider up and down. You'll notice that the object glows brighter or less. Keep in mind that when using the shader camera that I told you to download at the beginning, this is not 100% accurate to what it will look like in game. There isn't really a way to show what it would look like in game. This is pretty much the closest we've got. Since Beat Saber actually uses its own custom-made bloom engine, we kind of have to make do with what we have. So just keep in mind that not everything's going to be 100% accurate, and it may be looking a little bit different once you put it into Beat Saber. Right here, we have the custom colors toggle. Now, what this does is a bit complicated, but also not complicated, so I'll just give you a pretty brief explanation. Right now, the color of this object is red. If we were to put the saber into Beat Saber, the color of the object would also be red. And if we were to try and play a song, this is the right saber, so it should be blue, but it wouldn't be blue, it would stay red. To fix this, you select the Custom Colors toggle. Hold on, I'm getting a call on my phone. You know that your object supports custom colors if you go to Tools, Cosmetics, and find the Color Tester. From there, you can drag whichever saber object you are looking to test into the object to color. Click on the Custom Color Preview and select which color you want to preview. Then click Test Colors. As you can see, custom colors work on this. So, if we were to go into game and we set the color to anything we wanted here, and then we played a song, this would actually show up as blue, or the right saber color. Custom colors also correlates to what the colors of the user is using. So say, for example, you are using your own colors that you made, it would obviously switch to whatever the color of the saber is. Otherwise, if you don't have the custom colors toggle on, you'll notice that if I try and change to the custom color, it won't. What should I go next? Oh yeah, shaders. Basically, okay, this is a material right here, and this is a shader. A material acts as kind of like a door, a way for the effect that you want to get through and show up on the material, or maybe like a skin, if you want to put it that way. The way a material works is it's just like a canvas. You can't paint anything unless you have a canvas to work with. The way a shader works is the different effects placed onto that material. So say if you were to find a shader somewhere in the hashtag aesthetics channel, or anywhere else in the server, like for example this, I have a different shader, but you could definitely download this if you wanted to, it would show up something like this. This is called a Fresnel Shader. It's kind of like an outline, so it's a bit different. If I were to put a cylinder into here, scale it down a bit, you'd see what I mean. It's like an outline. That makes sense. There are a lot of other shaders that you can find. Like, for example, you can find a screen space. What a screen space allows you to do is pass a texture and display it as if it were a screen. So imagine your VR camera as a big screen, a 2D space. That's basically what this does, is place the image on the 2D space. There are a lot of other shaders that you can use when making sabers. Just make sure you don't spam them all over. Next thing to go over is particle systems. I won't go into these in too much detail. I feel like I'll probably make a tutorial, maybe. If you go into here by right-clicking and click on Effects and Particle System, you can make a particle system. These can be tweaked in many, many, many ways. There's a lot of settings that you can mess with to try and just figure things out. The most simple method of making something that looks good is just switching the start speed to 0, turning the shape into a circle, turn the radius thickness all the way down, turning the particle size to like 0.2, and then taking the velocity over lifetime, checking it, and then clicking here in the orbital and changing that to 1. From there, you'll basically get these spinning particles that look pretty cool. There's a lot of other things you can do with particles that's just pretty complicated and hard to figure out. The best way to learn them is just by playing around with it and messing around on your own. Now the last thing I want to go over is exporting and using your Saber in game. So let's say that you've finished your Saber, you're all good, you're happy with it, you're ready to use it in game. Obviously yours would look much better than this. What you're going to do is you're going to click up here in the Tools section. Click on Cosmetics, Exporters, Quest Saber, and from there you will find your new Saber template. If you were to rename the new Saber template to something, say, I, because I can't think of anything, then it'll show up under the exporter as Hi. Keep in mind that you cannot change the name of left saber or right saber. These must stay the same. However, the game object and everything under left saber and right saber can be renamed. Right here is the Saber Descriptor. This is where you would put in your Saber name, your name, and an optional description of your Saber. Here, you can enable base game fake glow, which is if you weren't using bloom glow, it'll force active the fake glow used in the default sabers on the base game. I don't really recommend using this option if you're not using bloom, but if you want to learn about fake glow more, I will leave a link in the description on Aiden's tutorials on saber making. I know he goes into depth about fake glow, so you can look into it there. For custom trails, in order to make yourself a custom trail, you need to click here. This is the Has Custom Trails option. But, you know, maybe you just want to test out your Saber first, and that's okay. So you can click here, Export to QSaber. From there, it is a valid QSaber file, and you're free to use it in game. If your Saber is offset, or anything like that, just, you know, keep in mind the point where I told you that you cannot move anything under the Saber template away from 0, 0. Now, obviously, you can move objects around. Like, say you want it like this, right? Like you want a cylinder right here, or a capsule right here. You can do that. That's okay. But the Saber itself as a whole needs to be in the middle of this. So basically, just by not moving any of this around, you're pretty much good. Now, in terms of custom trails, by checking this, you'll notice that it'll already put a game object under your sabers. This is the trail object. You can rename this if you want to, but it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters about it is that it has this trail references script on this. And I'll show you what that does in a few minutes. Just get rid of this. And I also think I'll just try and quickly make a decent looking something. Let's just do... Oh, and one more thing to note is that it doesn't matter. The sabers do not have to look the same. You can have a completely different model on the left saber and completely different model on the right saber. It does not matter. It also doesn't matter that this saber has a red material and this saber has a blue material. You can use the exact same material on either saber and custom colors would work just fine. Meaning this, even though they both use the same one, this will still show up as red and this will still show up as blue. I just do this for viewing convenience. I'm actually going to put these on here and change this to a lit glow, just so it looks more accurate to what you'll be seeing when you first open the project. Now, to make a trail, we're first going to need to view the trail. So, outside of your game object, you want to right-click, create a 3D object, and create a plane. From there, you can scale it down a bit, move it around to your liking. The default controls in terms of moving things around is W to move it around like this, E to rotate, and R to resize. what you're going to want to do is move this plane so that this side right here is as close as you can really get it. Doesn't matter too much to the side of the right saber, and this to about the middle. You can also move this up, so that way it's kind of like this. I don't really care for this. I'm just going to leave it like that. But if you want to, you can scale it down, get it a bit more exact to the width of the saber. I personally don't care too much. You know, from as long as I've been making sabers, I kind of know what it's going to look like. So, you're going to make a new material. I just do Control D. I click on one and I do Control D to duplicate. And you're going to find a shader called, I think it's just called the Fire Shader. Where is it? Here it is, Fire Trail. If you don't have this shader, you can ask in the cosmetics community model discussion Discord, and someone would happily definitely give it to you. Once you have this shader, you need to have an alpha texture, a displace texture, and a fade mask. I think I have a couple textures that I can use. Let me see. I have a bunch of weird stuff. Here we go. So for your trail, you're going to want to use an image like this. You'll find these around the Cosmetics Community Discord and in other Discords, like Discords for Saber creators and whatnot. Specifically in aesthetics. That's pretty much where you find all the things that you need for Saber creation. I already have a few textures, but just before you start getting into anything, make sure that once you have yourself a trail texture, you click on it, come to the wrap mode, and change it to clamp. This will keep it from doing anything weird when you try to, you know, put displacements and whatnot on it. It'll also look a bit odd. So if you're having an issue with it looking like shuffling around trying to figure myself out right now, oh, and that's also an issue too, right. You might want to rotate it. If you have issues, rotate it. You know, drag and drop material onto the plane. There you go. Yeah, if it looks like this and it's weird, just change it to clamp. That'll fix that issue. There's also on the trail shader, there's this glow slider. Probably the first thing you're going to want to mess with. I'd recommend turning it up to about this. That'll look the best in game. For a displace texture, you want to do something. You're gonna have to look through aesthetics again. If you're having trouble, you can always use the search function and look for really whatever you need, like displacement, and you'll find plenty of good displacements that you can use. One of my personal favorites is called the foam distortion. I don't know where you can really find this, but it's whatever, I guess. In terms of displacement textures, do not change these to clamp. Always keep these on repeat. So, your displace texture is going to go onto here. The displace texture. Might look a little bit something like this. That's okay. We'll fix that in a minute. Or I guess right now. The displace intensity and displace speed are two things you're going to want to mess with. So see right here, this is the intensity. I like to go around in the 0.0, area. It's kind of the best area. You can also change the speed. You usually are going to want to keep it higher. Although it looks weird, in game it will look much better. As your sabers are moving faster, it'll be more noticeable than a slow moving displacement. Something like this you won't notice at all in game. However, like this, you will notice while your sabers are moving. Finally, for a fade mask, fade masks are kind of optional. For me, I like to use something like this that has a bit of glow on the edge and more dim on the side. What these do is take your normal trail texture and sort of overlay them on top of this. So if I put it on here, you'll notice you can kind of see both textures at once. This can let you add some pretty neat effects to maybe boring trail texture. Also, you won't have these options. I think I'm using an edited version, but you don't need that. There are plenty of other trail shaders out there. I have a couple that I, can't really give you. They're private, they're given to me, but there are a lot out there that you can use that may look better and may work better than what you currently have. Like this one, for example. This is one of my favorites. Put this onto here, this onto here. Let's do it. Put this onto here. Some trail shaders will allow you to do much cooler things with your trails. Like this one that fades into a different color. Pretty neat. So now that you have your trail all ready and set up, just remember, this is not supposed to be anywhere inside of this. This plane is completely separate from this. Right here, you have the trail object. Click on it and find the trail references script. It should already be on there. Take your material and drag it into this trail material section. By default, your trail should be set to right saber and left saber, respectively. If you don't want it to be the custom colors, you can choose custom, and it will not set it to left or right saber colors. There are a couple use cases for this, but for the most part, you don't really want to change that. White step is pretty annoying. Basically, what it does is it adds a little bit of a white tint. So like, if the entire trail is blue, it'll add a little white streak along this edge to make it look more like it's glowing. The default saber uses a white step, which is why we include it in here. Trail length is something you're going to have to mess around with. Depending on what textures you're using and all, it's probably going to look different for you. So, just mess around with the parameter. Remember that the material has to be on both of the trails. And that's pretty much it. Now the final thing when it comes to trails is the trail start and the trail end. The trail end is the tip of the saber. The trail start is the bottom of the saber. From here, you want to click the move mode and try and get the middle of this right here as close as you can to the tip. Right there. Trail start really will make it smaller or bigger depending on how close you get it. If you're trying to make a thin trail but still want to see the texture, doing something like this will make it too thin. So, good rule of thumb is to try and overdo it a bit. Something like this will look much more accurate to this. Once you're done with that, you can find the location of your trail start, copy this, go to the left saber, paste it into the same area, and the same with the trail end. Okay, great. Now I need to edit things. My brother walked into the room. Now that you have both of these two sections at the exact same spot on either saber, you can now export. Remember, it always never hurts to double check. These two should definitely have custom colors, as these are the colors of the saber. whereas this does not need to have custom colors, meaning this will show up as gray on both sabers, whereas these will have their respective colors. And to just do a quick test to make sure everything is looking correct. Yep, looks like that works. You're now ready to export your saber. Go to Tools, Cosmetics, Exporters, Quest Saber, and click on Export to QSaber. From there, you'll be given a QSaber file. I don't think I really want to open my downloads if this is going to be a public video, but you will be given a QSaber file wherever you decide to upload it, and from there you can drag and drop it into BMBF and you're good to go. If you have any questions or anything, you can leave them in the comments. I'll try and answer the most of them. If you wanted to, you could also DM me on Discord. No promises that I'll respond because I sometimes get annoyed at people asking me for help, so you're probably just better off asking the model discussion channel. Once you get better at sabers, you can, start making stuff like this. This is much, much, much more advanced and further down the line, but as you get better and better at making sabers, you'll be able to start making stuff pretty good. So with that said, I hope this helped you. Hope this was useful. I'm not being professional, I'm just using my normal house voice. That's basically it. See ya.